Okay, well, let's kick off and welcome to the Queensland Government 2025 Patient Travel RFP. And patient travel specifically covers multiple different precincts, but this is specifically for Torres and Cape Hospital and Health Service, which can be referred to as TCHSS. It's the RFP webinar, and I just want to first start by an acknowledgement of country. HRS acknowledges the traditional owners of country. I'd like to acknowledge the Gadigal clan of the Eora Nation, which is where I'm hosting this call from today. We pay our respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures, to elders past, present, and emerging. Just a quick introduction. Welcome to the call. You may have been on this webinar this time last year that I hosted. So Wayne Nagel is my name. I head up the supplier solutions and procurement efforts in APAC, which covers Queensland Government RFPs and obviously the Torres and Cape RFP. Also like to introduce you to Celinda Hill, who's on the call as well.
Hi, everybody.
Many of you know Sol. Sol looks after our patient travel programs and is an account manager for our Queensland Government account. Sitting behind the RFP that we are launching or have already launched today is our supply solutions team, and you can get in contact with them. They're here to support, and the email address is suppliers@hrs.com. And any particular chains on the call as well, you may also reach out to rfpquestions@hrs.com, but your suppliers team is predominantly here to support. So let's kick off an agenda. We don't really want to take too much of your precious time, so we'll fly through the agenda quite quickly. There is a question and answer functionality, but we are recording the session so we can circulate the presentation in the ProcureTech platform as a link, so you can watch that on demand. A quick overview on the customer, the RFP strategy, what destinations are driving the volume for this particular RFP, some specific requirements that are no different to last year. There's some refinement that we've done, and then ultimately a quick demonstration of the ProcureTech platform, the proprietary technology that HRS is using to deliver this RFP. So super high level, we work really closely, HRS historically, with QGP, and this particular RFP is no different. So we want to align with the overall procurement strategies, and with that also comes with an alignment of the 2024 rate directive. So you can read up on that. There's more documentation contained within the FAQ that I can walk you through in a short moment, but it is aligned with jobs, economy, legacy, and confidence. So we're trying to deliver the right outcomes for our customer at all times. The program itself hasn't had any structural changes significantly. And so if you are new to this particular RFP, there are some properties that haven't been invited historically that are joining us for the first time to submit their bid. And so a little bit different, the patient travel subsidy scheme is funded by the Queensland Government, and it is actually administered through Queensland Health. So patients can apply for this subsidy and travel to get the services that they need, the medical services, away from their home, and they are entitled to travel with an escort. So there is an approval process that actually happens to then get the subsidy granted. But this is all part of the RFP process that HRS manages. So HRS is managing the procurement, so the tender for this particular RFP, the search and booking process, as well as the payment. So it's charging that payment back to HRS. There's a lot of information contained around the program, and I've put a link on the screen here that you can click on when you watch the recording to access some more information around the different markets and specific details contained within the program. So as we move over to which particular properties and markets are invited, so which destinations are in scope, predominantly Cairns is, as you can see, holds the the significant share within the program. There is growing demand within Brisbane, Townsville, Thursday Island and Horn Island as some of the services are decentralised away from Cairns. There are some smaller markets that are also receiving room nights, and you can see down there lower than 150 room night expectation. So largely the Cairns hotels that have been invited would understand the program. But as I said, reach out to suppliers at hrs.com if you've got any questions around how to submit the RFP. And I'll take you through a live demonstration as well. The forecast in its entirety is looking to grow about 16% year on year, and so that's taking it to 65,000 room nights. So it's not a small program, very tailored, very passionate team behind the scenes with patient travel. So definitely one to jump on. The RFP restrictions have remained the same. There's only a couple of changes. I'll walk you through the questions that have changed, but it is an LRA, so last room availability on a room only basis RFP. The validity period is a calendar year that we're working towards. As I mentioned before, there is the ability to travel with an escort. So I'll show you where you enter the single rate, but there's also a double rate and potentially even a third PAX rate that you can enter in the client-specific section. There is up to 4 room types. It's a net rate, so the actual rate that you want back in your pocket as a hotelier or accommodation provider is the rate that you provide on the RFP. And in terms of availability, so this is a bespoke campaign. This is a travel cohort that can't access the best available rates throughout the transient program that we provide for Queensland government. And so one key piece is to provide a rate, but support that with live inventory on the HRS platform, the HRS Australasia platform. So live availability is quite critical. You can connect via your channel manager. We're also introducing the HRS extranet. So that gives you the capability to manage inventory at a manual basis and provide the patient travel scheme with the inventory they require to book in advance. And it's quite a long lead time. So the allotment preference as well, we're saying a minimum of 3 room allotments, but there's a 24-hour release back preference. However, if you can't commit to a 24-hour release back, then we can consider a 48 or a 72-hour release back, and you can put that information onto the RFP. In terms of restrictions, there's a trade fair period, so there are the seasonal peaks. We appreciate that. There are the 14 trade fair days with 3 seasons allowed. The challenge is there's no blockout periods, and appreciate you may want to yield rates throughout the year, but the long stay nature of the patient travel scheme means that we don't want to displace those patients that are in-house and can't actually stay in those peak dates. And so consider that when you're submitting your tender. And as I said previously, there are supporting documents. There's a briefing document, HRS FAQ, and also the addendum to the Queensland government accommodation program. So the good news is that the invites have been sent only within the hour, so that should be already in your inbox. It's a 2-week RFP, so the submissions will count down and close within 2 weeks, which is a Friday at 7 p.m, the 4th of October. The only changes to the RFP is the mandatory question. There are GBTA questions that if you have filled those out before, the good news is they will pre-populate, and so you don't have to complete the GBTA questions again. But there is a new user-defined question which relates to fire safety regulations, smoke alarms, fire blankets, fire extinguishers, and an evacuation plan. So this is really, really key. There's also a section in the GBTA questions around accessible rooms. So make sure you just make all the details in that section accurate, and appreciate if you can update those. I understand it's a long task completing RFPs, but our team is here to support. The other piece that's really important becomes the live inventory, which is I touched on that before. So there is a question that highlights the method that you would like to use, whether it be allotment, channel manager, the HRS extranet, which we refer to as the AADX platform, or whether you want to manage the flow via on request, which is obviously the least preference. I understand that you want to make sure that the hotel is putting the patients in the right room types. However, live inventory is really important for the customer. So that is the quick high-level overview. The RFP invitation, as I said, has hit the inbox. That has gone out. This is what it will look like. So you can hit that link, log in, and access your listing to submit your bid. And what I'll just do now quickly is take you on a live demonstration and log in. You just have to put your property details there, the password that you have been emailed, and agree to the terms. And here you'll see any other RFP that the property has been invited to. For this case, we're just using a test listing. The process here, it's in progress. You've got access. You can see the room night forecast, how many room nights for this particular market, and how many hotels we anticipate to accept in that particular market. The estimated target average weighted rate. So that takes into consideration, obviously, the seasonality. So try not to put a 999 rate in a high season. You want to make sure that you put a reasonable rate, because it will take an average, and we don't want to discount those submissions because they're not competitive. What you've got the ability to do is download the documents, so you can see the briefing document and the terms and conditions. I'll just quickly show you. This is what the terms and conditions look like. And the FAQs are quite comprehensive. And also, if you haven't submitted before and you don't know the simple travel terminology, like RFP is a request for proposal, then we've tried to capture as much of that information on the FAQs as possible. So they're always available for you. And as I said, we'll upload the presentation into the ProcureTech platform as well. So it's currently in invited status. The RFP has launched, and just want to jump in, submit the offer. I'm actually currently selected here as the contact person. However, if at the property that has changed, you can identify somebody else, fill out the details, and just make sure you select that contact person because they become the primary contact. Continue to the next step. And there will be a link at the top here is where you'll see this recording located. Across the top, the countdown of the RFP, the forecast room nights, the hotels that we're looking to accept in that given market, and the targeted average weighted rate, which is the target rate. And we encourage you to get as close as you possibly can to that target rate. The savings is still an important metric for the customer. And on the left-hand side here, where you have completed historical details, it will be a green tick. If there's any questions that you haven't submitted, then it will identify here as a mark. The red asterisk is the questions that are mandatory, and you need to complete all of those questions. So work your way through there. As I said, the hotel details have been stored, and that is covered under the GBTA questions. There are lots of questions, so obviously focus on the mandatory questions and then continue to the next step. And this is the page where, if you scroll right to the top, you just want to take careful consideration around the currency. Make sure that it is the Australian dollars that are selected. The buckets here, you can see last room availability for your single, and then for your 2 packs rate. And so they're the rates that you need to put a net rate exclusive of any fees, any commission. It's a net rate that you need back for that particular room category, and it is exclusive of breakfast. If you need to add your season rates, you can see there, you've got the ability to populate that, put the dates in. If you needed to add a trade fair date, there's the possibility there. If you wanted to add a breakfast rate, then that's also a possibility. And as you scroll down, I think tax is pretty important. We know that we're a GST inclusive market, so just make sure that it's a 10% inclusive, you don't change those functions. And then just scroll down, it's quite self-explanatory, some of the questions that are here. As I said previously, the really important piece is the availability. So this is the question where you can see you can add your channel manager. There is the ability to add a count of allocation, how many you want to offer, the release back period, the net rate for the third packs. I covered that off as well. And then some social questions in procurement. Queensland Government and QGP specifically are looking to capture as much information around the suppliers as possible, and whether that be sustainability or social, these questions relate to that. So work through that. If you get stuck, reach out to the Supplier Solutions team and we'll walk you through that. And this is the end of the line. Once you have completed everything, submit obviously terms and conditions, and then submit the offer. Now, if it doesn't go to the next stage, scroll up, focus on the left-hand side, and work through the questions that you haven't completed that are indicated as mandatory. And that is the end of the demonstration. I just wanted to close out by thanking everybody for completing the RFP and jumping on this webinar. It is quite intense. Appreciate the duration that the RFP process takes. There's 2 weeks to submit this. It's, as I said, the deadline is the 7th of October. Sorry, 7 p.m. In 2 weeks' time on the 4th of October. So reach out to suppliers at hrs.com if you need any further support. And with that, I wish you the best of luck for the